San Francisco. Everything on this side of the line is just hundreds and hundreds of miles of worthless desert land, which just so happens to be owned by Lex Luthor Incorporated.
Wow. I didn't know Superman was in Deliverance. Hey,
Very good.
California, it's gotten too big, Professor Dershowitz. It's like you imagine Siamese twins, right? And one of your twins got really, really fat. And you go like, okay, it's time to split. We're calling the doctor.
Look, there are people in California who want to not have a separate state. They want to secede and have a separate nation. They would be, what, the 7th, 8th largest economy in the world?
Yes.
They would be among the top population nations in the world, and they could legalize marijuana without any concern from the federal government.
In the world? Shelby, this could be a great contest to see. You have the two states split. Which one would do better? One with like free market, free market, free mind mentality that Professor Dershowitz discusses, or big government intrusion of the other kind of California?
That's a good question. I mean, I think this is what happens when you overtax your citizens, can't balance your budget. People get really frustrated. They want to leave. But if you look at the plan that these new California guys released, it's literally a 5-page sloppy PDF.
Is that all you need?
It looks like something a third grader put together. So I think they have a little ways to go in filling in the details and convincing people this is a good idea. But also, all the wealth is on the coast.
Yeah.
So they would also have a bit of a reality check when they start realizing what their resources are.
But how big was our Declaration of Independence? Wasn't that one sheet?
It was a much more intelligent sheet.
Really?
I'll have to say that.
I think it was written on a cocktail napkin, if I remember correctly.
I believe that you're right.
Yes.
Yeah, they all had.
Everything good is written on a cocktail napkin. Pyrus?
What?
I don't know.
You want me to follow up with that?
Yes.
Look, I grew up in California. I still have my California driver's license. I vote absentee ballot. Like, I'm still a Californian. And they do this. I grew up with this constantly. At one point, Northern California was pissed because Southern California was taking all their water, so they wanted to split and be Northern California, Southern California. Then some genius came up with the 6 states. We're going to have 6 new states in California. You know, Texas did this, but a few years ago, Texas wanted to succeed because it seems like whenever someone doesn't get their way, they want to pack. That's the way America is now, apparently. When you don't get your way, you pack your bags and you go home.
But
so
they're
now
not leaving.
No, they're just saying we're not being a part of this anymore.
No, there's still going to be a state.
Family Guy, he did that too.
They're going to be a state. That's good. It's good. They're moving out of that. They're not moving out of the house. They're getting their own room.
Yeah, but it's not the way I like it, so I want it. I would be pissed.
As a Californian, I am tired of California when I go there. It's like people, I had to move out of California because I couldn't afford to live there. I couldn't afford to buy the house that I grew up in.
But what did you do?
I sold it for a lot of money.
Called Greg, or did you move to New York?
I moved.
That's the thing about America. There's like 49 other choices.
Yeah, you got to move.
You're not going to get it. They're not going to split.
I think that's the moral. Is you got to move, Kat.
Yeah.
You must move.
Is that my question?
Yes. No. You know, Virginia split off from Virginia, became West Virginia, right?
Maine and Massachusetts.
Yes. Dakota Fanning left North Dakota.
It just blows my mind, like you said with the PDF, that there are actually people out there who are spending their time doing this.
Really?
Yeah, like
you spend time on worse things.
100%, and that's exactly my point. I was like, these people must have no psychological noise. They must have no social traumas to deal with. They must have other lives. Who gets and spends their free time thinking, you know what, I would like to make a PDF about creating my own state, and I'm going to do it.
I think this
probably the
I like
best
these people.
I agree.
The best people.
You should have them on the show and interview them.
I will. You know what? You're right. You know, it's like the people who do C-Lab.
Let's get to the bottom of this.
Do C-Lab?
It's much better than anything I do.
And then when you ask them one wrong question, they're going to form their own Greg Gutfeld show in the corner.
All right, enough. Don't laugh at that. Final thoughts. If you leave now, I'll replace all of your relatives with exact replicas.
An evening in front of a fire can be so relaxing, but dangerous creosote buildup can cause a chimney fire if not removed. Help protect your home with CSL, the creosote sweeping log. It helps clean your chimney while it burns. Inside your chimney walls, there's a constant buildup of flammable tar and creosote. The active minerals in CSL will reduce those dangerous deposits, making your next fire safer. It's so easy. Burn just once every 60 fires. CSL, the creosote sweeping log.
CSL is available at Lowe's, participating Ace, True Value, and Walmart.
Honey, remember to slaughter the tomatoes with the nun. Remember to water the tomatoes when you're done.
Sometimes hearing isn't easy.
Lick a carp. Looking sharp.
But now there's a simple way to enhance it, because now there's Eargo Plus, the virtually invisible hearing aid with amazing sound quality. Designed with patented flexi-fibers, so they're suspended completely inside the ear canal. And so small that they're virtually invisible. Just pop them in and tap each ear to find the right setting for you. A single nighttime charge will last you an entire day.
Sauerkraut the slumlord. Watch out for the skateboard.
Don't wait. Call or go online now for a free sample pair to experience the incredible comfort and invisibility of Eargo Plus for yourself.
Call 800-281-6036 today.
Tired of trying to hide your belly bulge, muffin top, or that beer gut? Now there's a fun, effective, and easy way to get fit and toned in just minutes a day with the Simply Fit board. It's got everyone twisting and getting you into your fat-burning zone.
It's so fun, I don't feel like I'm working out.
I'm Lori Grenier from Shark Tank. I like being toned, but I'm not big into working out and sweating. That's why I fell in love with the Simply Fit board. The minute I saw it, I knew it was a hero, and I did the deal so we could bring it to all of you.
You'll feel it working instantly. The secret is its unique twisting motion and balance board pivoting action that engages your entire core, helping tone abs, legs, and your entire body, all while having fun. You can get started with as little as 5 minutes a day. Do it anytime, anywhere. Do it while watching TV. This is a great workout for everyone, no matter your age.
It's low impact and easy on the joints. And look at me, I'm 64 and in better shape than I've been in years.
I love feeling my muscles working because it feels like I'm working and I'm just burning fat away, and who doesn't want to burn fat away?
The Simply Fit board can help trim your waistline, engage your entire core, and improve your balance. The Simply Fit board is so durable it holds up to 400 pounds, and it's lightweight, portable, and stores away easily. Call or go online now to get your Simply Fit board for only $39.99. Plus, you'll also get the Simply Fit workout DVD with 3 full body exercise routines. And here's our 100% risk-free guarantee. If you don't feel it working in just 60 seconds, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price. We'll even pay the return shipping.
Now that's a great deal. And that's how sure I am that you will absolutely love your Simply Fit board.
Simply Fit rocks!
To order the Simply Fit board for $39.99 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-509-8168 or order online at simplyfitboard.com.
My name is Jeff Sheldon, and I'm the founder of UGG. Before ShipStation, it was crazy. Like, it's great when you see, 100 orders come in, but then you realize I got 100 orders that I actually have to ship out. ShipStation streamlined that whole process. The order data, the weights of the items, everything is seamlessly put into ShipStation. So when we print the shipping label, everything's pretty much done. It's so much easier. So now we're ready, bring on the orders.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/TV and get 2 months free.
If you'll be in New York City and would like free tickets to be part of our studio audience, email Greg Tix at foxnews.com.
I'll see you Monday on The 5 at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're running out of time, so...
What you've wanted to say all show, but haven't had the chance to say, so here's your chance to say it. Right now.
All right, Professor.
Well, in my book, Trumped Up, I argue to return us to the center. Let's move away from the extremes. The left is turning too far left. Some on the right are turning too far right. Let's return to the days where centrist conservatives can argue with centrist liberals and ask what's best for America, not what's best for the right or what's best for the left.
I gotta move on. I do think Trump's gonna be a centrist. I think he always has been because he moves all over the place. Anyway, Shelby?
For my final thought, I think I'll go back to the beginning of the show. You said if Trump can control himself,
yes,
he could be a great president. And I think that's a big key. And people don't really take it seriously. But after producing this big video of the year of Trump, I truly think if Trump can get his act together on Twitter, not say offensive things, not pick so many fights, we could have a great year.
Yeah,
I think so too.
All right, Tyrus.
Oh, man, I had a busy week. I got 2 movies getting ready to come out. Monster movie, In You Out, if you're into that. And if you want to laugh, me, Mike Epps, Russell Peters and John Malkovich in SuperCon, and I made my return to Impact Wrestling last week where I put hands on EC3. You should probably check that out. So
busy man. All right, last word to you, Kat.
So I've been having kind of a rough time, had a rough day. Went home, though, and found out there was cat vomit all over my apartment. So I was like, at least I have a purpose in life.
Yeah, that's good.
Got to clean that up.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, cat vomit. Cat, that's the name of your show, Cat Vomit. Alan Dershowitz, Shelby Holiday, Cat Tips, Irish Studio Audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America. Thank you.
A government letdown as the president marks his very first year in office. Congress failing to reach a spending plan, effectively stopping federal funding, and the shutdown coming amid anti-Trump protests nationwide. Good evening, everyone. I'm Julie Banderas. You are watching the Fox Report. Lawmakers back on Capitol Hill today scrambling to negotiate a deal to get the government back up and running, but the effort seems to be overshadowed by a political blame game. Today, Republicans ramping up their attacks on Democrats.
The votes were there. The president was ready. The solution to this manufactured crisis was inches away. But then the Democratic leader took the extraordinary step of filibustering this legislation, preventing it from passing, and plunging the country into this totally avoidable mess.
But the Democrats are firing back, placing blame squarely on Republicans and President Trump. Listen.
The most important point is this. The Republicans control the White House, the Senate, the House. That's why America and the world are calling this shutdown the Trump shutdown. It's the president and congressional Republicans' responsibility to govern. It's their responsibility to keep the doors open and the lights on around here.
And just into Fox, the White House releasing this photo of President Trump working in the White House during the shutdown. We hear from a member of the White House communications team in a moment. But first, Peter Doocy joins us now from Capitol Hill with the very latest. Hi there, Peter.
Julie, it's not all constructive solutions to reopen the government here on the House side of Capitol Hill, because instead, some Democratic lawmakers have been complaining very loudly about a poster board that some Republicans were using to make a point. And they said that it was out of order because it shows a picture of Chuck Schumer next to some text reading, "A government shutdown is the politics of idiocy." And things got heated.
A majority in the House and a majority in the Senate have voted to prevent this shutdown and keep the government open.
The gentleman from Colorado will state his point of order.
Point of order. The poster that's being brought is disparaging of a member of the Senate. I ask that.
As it turns out, that poster was ultimately found to be perfectly fine for the floor. Now, even though the House already passed a continuing resolution that they designed to last for 4 weeks, the Democrats' vote counter, Congressman Steny Hoyer, is pitching a 4-day-long continuing resolution, and he explains his thinking like this, quote, "By introducing this measure, I am giving Republicans a chance to end the Trump shutdown while we continue negotiations on these bipartisan priorities. Given the urgent need to address each of them, we are not going to give Republicans additional weeks to waste on their right-wing agenda and kick the can down the road one more time." But that's not going to happen because most of the Republican members I've spoken to are willing to let Senate Democrats sweat this one out as long as they demand a bill that fixes DACA in exchange for their support of a CR.
They never once said anything in their stuff about DACA until this week. And for months they did say, you got to do CHIP. Well, we're doing CHIP, and we're keeping the government open. We need to do immigration reform. We need to do these other things, secure the border, DACA. We need to find bipartisan solutions there with the president. That's not ripe. It's not ready. Nobody's seen it.
It looks like a 3-week-long continuing resolution is where the Senate is heading. That would likely come with a condition that DACA would have to be fixed by February 8th, and that is why the Senate Majority Leader McConnell is calling out his counterpart, Chuck Schumer, again tonight.
Here's the difference between the Democratic leader and the rest of us tonight. The difference. He wants to keep the government shut down for hundreds of millions of Americans until we finish negotiating on the subject of illegal immigration.
And I just caught the House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy on his way away from the Senate or from the House floor and asked him how things were looking with this shutdown, and he said, listen to Democrats in the Senate giving their speeches. He said, and this is a quote, if you listen to their speeches, it sounds like they know they screwed up. Julie.
All right, Peter Doocy, thank you very much. Let's get reaction now from the Trump administration. Mercedes Schlapp is the White House Director of Strategic Communications. Thank you very much for talking to us. The blame game, it continues tonight on both sides, and there are major implications for how this ends. Neither side, of course, wanted a shutdown, but much like Republicans got hammered in 2013, Democrats now face major political backlash here. So who is likely to cave?
Well, clearly it's the Democrats who wanted this shutdown. They are making up these excuses. Obviously, we've seen Senator Chuck Schumer as the architect of this Schumer shutdown, coming up with excuses and really taking an irresponsible action and not accepting the short-term spending deal that the Republicans proposed. This deal included provisions that Democrats would normally agree with, like the reauthorization of the CHIP program, delaying certain Obamacare taxes. This is something that was a good place to start for the Democrats. Unfortunately, they don't want to move forward on this. They want to attach DACA in addition to other provisions that weren't even discussed in the first place. And in essence, we've ended up in this politically manufactured crisis that the Democrats have created.
I want your reaction to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer earlier today talking about the possibility of even striking a deal. Let's listen.
It's next to impossible to strike a deal with the president because he can't stick to the terms. I have found this out. Leader McConnell has found this out. Speaker Ryan has found this out. So here we are on the first anniversary of the president's inauguration, mired in the Trump shutdown.
It's interesting he uses those words, yet there were Democrats that were absolutely floored about Republicans calling it a Schumer shutdown. What is the potential fallout for the players in this drama?
Well, let me tell you, President Trump has been a very fair player, a strong negotiator in wanting to move forward and avoid this shutdown. Clearly, he's the one who invited Senator Schumer to come in yesterday to the White House. What Senator Schumer had to offer was surely not good enough. And so it's for Senator Schumer to take the blame and come back with a reasonable deal where he could stop and these Democrats could stop holding hostage our military families, our troops, these vulnerable children. It makes absolutely no sense. At this point, we need to be focusing on funding for protecting our national security. I mean, you're talking about that training for the National Guard, for the reservists. It's canceled. Intelligence operations canceled. These are issues that are critical for our national security. And in essence, the Democrats have decided to hold our national security, these military families, hostage.
Republicans are resolute. No talks on DACA until Democrats give them the votes, at least enough votes to reopen the government. Now, Democrats say that they have to answer on DACA in order to proceed. As White House Legislative Affairs Director Mark Short put it earlier today, how can Democrats hold our troops hostage and essentially deny services to law-abiding Americans, then deny funding to our border agents when DACA can be negotiated later?
Well, I think it's very clear that the Republicans, and especially the president, who brought over both Democrats and Republicans from the Senate and the House and said, look, in good faith, if you come to me with a bicameral, bipartisan solution on DACA, let's talk. Now, as we know, immigration reform has not been solved for decades. This president is willing and able to get a responsible immigration reform bill done, a DACA solution. He's the one that has said we'll find a permanent fix for DACA, but we need to ensure that we secure our border so we don't have a recreation of a second DACA here in the United States, and we take control of illegal immigration. I think at this point, it's very clear, as we know, immigration being a very complicated issue, for it to be separated from the short-term spending bill. Let's get the government functioning again, funding again, and avoid this chaos that the Democrats have created here in Washington.
Mercedes Schlapp, White House Director of Strategic Communications, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now let's bring in Deputy Editor of Roll Call newspaper, Jason Dick. Jason, thank you for talking to us. Where is there, if any, wiggle room when it comes to DACA? Because, you know, House Speaker Paul Ryan has essentially said that the provision under DACA has nothing to do with funding. So then why would the Democrats shut down the government?
I think and thanks for having me on, Julie. I think a part of it is just, I mean, this is the leverage that the Democrats have. They're in the minority in both chambers, and they saw that they wanted to try to get something done last year. They passed this continuing resolution right before Christmas that lasted until Friday night, until last night. And they see that they just don't know when they will be able to get their priorities, addressed. And so they're using what little leverage they have.
I want to throw up a tweet by Paul Ryan, and it was retweeted by the president. Much of the administration has spent a lot of time on Twitter today. Paul Ryan writing, Senate Democrats shut down the government over a bill they have no issues with, a bill that keeps government open and extends health insurance to nearly 9 million children. They opposed a bill they don't even oppose. We do some crazy things in Washington, but this is madness. Your thoughts?
I mean, one thing I'd like to sort of point out, I mean, being at Roll Call, you know, we cover some of the issues that don't kind of come up quite to this level that we're seeing in the last few days. And one of them is like just government funding before it gets to these kind of crisis proportions. The government, the fiscal year started 4 months ago, and we've been operating on these sort of stopgap resolutions since then. So the whole process is kind of broken. The CHIP program that the Speaker was referring to in his tweet there also expired at the end of September. So from the Democrats' perspective, they think that these were, also things that could have been avoided. So, I mean, it's certainly a good point. I mean, certainly a lot of Democrats wanted to get CHIP done. So the Democrats that voted to cut off debate last night and to proceed to this House-passed measure that would extend funding specifically cited the Children's Health Insurance Program. Doug Jones, who's the newest senator, Democrat elected in Alabama, surprisingly last month. I mean, he said it's too important, and several of their allies have said, you know, take the deal, take a 6-year deal on children's health insurance. But it is one of those things. I mean, there are calculations that, I mean, at a level that I'm not privy to, that very few people are, about where they can exert their leverage, and apparently this is where the Democrats have said that they're going to sort of draw the line.
Jason, I want to ask you, the president wrote a rare op-ed today, basically touting his one-year accomplishments. It appeared in the Washington Examiner. I want to read a part of it. He calls this a year of real change. Even as Democrats continue to obstruct and play politics, I have never stopped fighting for the people, and I have no intention of changing course. I promised January 20, 2017 would be remembered as a new day for all Americans, the day the people became the rulers of this nation once again. What do we reflect upon when we look back at President Trump's first year in office?
Certainly one thing that I think is this sort of strange phenomena is that the politics are as toxic as ever in Washington, particularly in the Capitol and in the White House, and yet our quality of life is better than it has been in quite some time. The stock market is like breaking records. It seems like every week or so they are beginning to, they're breaking another thing that people didn't think. And so it's this strange sort of dissonance.
All right, Jason Dick, thank you very much, Deputy Editor of Roll Call newspaper. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Julie.
So President Trump's inauguration taking place exactly 1 year ago. You may recall his presidency helped spark the Women's March movement. The marchers returned today, gathering in cities across the United States and even around the world. But the president had a direct message for them. Caroline Shively has this report from the largest march which took place in our nation's capital.
The focus of last year's event was protesting the election of President Trump.
We are the popular vote.
But this year's theme is Power to the Polls, to get more women running for office. Take a look at the crowd. Thousands of people with signs, those famous pink hats, and plenty of enthusiasm. They rallied at the National Mall and then marched to the White House.
I'm here because I have to be. Things have gotten way worse than I ever thought that they would, and I'm afraid that our government's being eroded, and all the rights that I think a lot of us have taken for granted over the years need to be protected.
Democratic members of Congress addressed the crowd, asking them to vote President Trump out of office in 2020 and promote more women candidates.
1 year ago, millions of women and the men and children who have their backs marched around the world to send this message. Women deserve to be heard. Women deserve to be respected. Women deserve to lead.
President Trump tweeted during the rally saying in part, quote, "Beautiful weather all over our great country, a perfect day for all women to march." In that same tweet, President Trump also said it is the lowest level of female unemployment in 18 years. Julie?
Caroline Shively, thank you. And coming up on the Fox Report right here, we're going to have a wrap of the women's marches in several other cities across the U.S. So what will it take to reach an agreement on this government shutdown, and what is the most likely course to compromise? That's up next.
Don't let a win defeat your drive. Keep your eye on the ball.
You can be smarter when you strive.
There are no limits. Put yourself to the test.
Because better is a never-ending quest.
The all-new Accord Touring, now with a powerful turbocharged engine. It's our most impressive Honda ever.
Hi, so I just got off the phone with our Allstate agent, and I know that we have accident forgiveness. So the incredibly minor accident that I had tonight.
4 weeks without the car.
Okay, yep, good night.
With accident forgiveness, your rates won't go up just because of an accident. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
So I needed legal advice, and I heard that my cousin's wife's sister's husband was a lawyer, so I called him. But he never called me back.
If your cousin's wife's sister's husband isn't a lawyer, call LegalZoom, and we'll connect you with an attorney. LegalZoom, where life meets legal.
Here's the story of Green Mountain Coffee Roasters Sumatra Reserve, told in the time it takes to brew your cup. Let's go to Sumatra. Where's Sumatra? Good question. This is Vin, and that's Vin's goat, Adi. The coffee here is amazing because the volcanic soil is amazing, making the coffee erupt with flavor. So we give farmers like Vin more plants to grow more delicious coffee that erupts with even more flavor, which helps provide for Vin's family, and Adi the goat's family too, because his kids eat a lot. All for a smoother tasting cup of coffee. Green Mountain Coffee Roasters, packed with goodness.
I work overtime when I can get it. I need my blood sugar to stay in control, so I asked about Traceba. Traceba is a once-daily, long-acting insulin that lasts even longer than 24 hours.
I need to cut my A1C. Traceba works like my body's insulin. Releases slow and steady, providing powerful A1C reduction.
My week, hectic. My weekends, my time. I can take Traceba any time of day, so if I sleep in and delay my dose, I take it as soon as I can, as long as there's at least 8 hours between doses.
Once in use, Traceba lasts 8 weeks with or without refrigeration, twice as long as the Lantuspen.
Traceba is used to control high blood sugar in adults with diabetes. Don't use Traceba to treat diabetic ketoacidosis during episodes of low blood sugar, or if you are allergic to any of its ingredients. Don't share needles or insulin pens. Don't reuse needles. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which may cause dizziness, sweating, confusion, and headache. Check your blood sugar. Low blood sugar can be serious and may be life-threatening. Injection site reactions may occur. Tell your prescriber about all medicines you take and all your medical conditions. Taking TZDs with insulins like Traceba may cause serious side effects like heart failure. Your insulin dose shouldn't be changed without asking your prescriber. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing, fast heartbeat, extreme drowsiness, swelling of your face, tongue, or throat, dizziness, or confusion. Ask your healthcare provider if you're Traceba ready. Covered by most insurance and Medicare plans.
So the Senate back in session today, hoping to negotiate a spending deal to get the government funding. But, well, right now, Republicans and Democrats are still at an impasse, and a contentious blame game seems to be pushing them even further apart. I'm joined now by the Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, chair of the Senate Republican Policy Committee. I had hoped now, some 19 hours after the government shutdown began, that we'd be having a much different conversation. Do you see a change of course this evening?
Well, I don't right now, Julie, but I think, Chuck Schumer, as part of this Schumer shutdown, has completely misjudged the viewpoints of the American people. All on behalf, he wanted to shut down the government of the United States, affecting people who are in the country legally for people who are in the country illegally, and there are major consequences for people all across the country, and I'm seeing it in calls we've gotten from Wyoming today alone.
So Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, he held a news conference today, and he himself pointed out all the harm a government shutdown causes. It halts funding for the military, funding for children's health, disaster aid, and the list goes on. Who is going to come to their senses before this shutdown does more harm?
Well, 5 Democrats already voted with us to keep the government funded. But right now, Senator Schumer is blocking votes in the floor of the Senate as time expires. They're filibustering all of these things. I'm ready to vote right now to reopen the government, but we don't hear that from the Democrats. And there, as you say, there is real damage in terms of children's health, in terms of our military, our veterans, our first responders all across the country. And the American people realize that what they are doing here, this shutdown, is because of folks who are here illegally, and that across the board, people understand it's much more important to fund the government, to keep the government open, to address that other problem at a later time. But there is nothing that we have in this continuing resolution that the Democrats actually oppose. There are 9 million children dependent upon the Children's Health Plan. I had a call today into my office, and we've been here staffing all day answering calls. We have 7,300 people in Wyoming on children's health. And one woman called and said, will my child still be able to get health care now that the government is closed down because of the Schumer shutdown? We assured her that she will get that care in Wyoming.
Senator John Barrasso, we're going to hold you up until the next commercial break, so we're going to be right back with you in a moment. I have a lot more to talk to you about regarding that cloture vote that was actually brought to the floor today. What happened? It fell flat. We'll be talking with the senator about that and much more. Stay with us.